Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome for February 25th, 2026. It is now 4:01 p.m. And we're going to give a call to order, please, Ms. Torres.
Honorable Rolf Hesper.
Present.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Here.
Honorable Amanda Forrester.
Here.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Here.
Honorable Chaz Gleiss.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. For silent meditation, I just wanted to announce that the funeral service for Cookie Johnson are going to be on Saturday at 10 a.m. at Our Lady of Perpetual Help. If anybody would like to attend, it's open to everyone, so please do so. And let's remember her and her legacy in the next 15 seconds, please. Thank you. Emma, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes. Everyone, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Has everybody had a chance to review the agenda? Any changes?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for our February 25th, 2026 meeting with the following changes. Moving H2 in front of H1.
I'll second that.
Motion in a second, Ms. Torres.
Honorable Chaz Gleiss.
Aye.
Honorable Rolf Hesper.
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forrester.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Aye. Carries unanimously. Do we have any commission comments before we start?
I'll make a quick one.
Yes, ma'am.
We have the Jordan Way fundraiser today at the animal shelter, and I decided to bring some 4-H kiddos there so that I wouldn't have to volunteer as tribute, as our fellow commissioner had to get his legs waxed today. And I got out of there just in time before it got sketchy, but it was a really fun event. The kids had a really good time. They locked some of the kiddos in the kennels, and they had to call grandparents and parents and family to help them get out before they had to eat a nasty jelly bean or a black scorpion. And I think Tara at this moment is up to raising $7,400 for our animals.
Any other commission comments?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see seats filled. People actively engaged with us here this afternoon. For my report today, I have a couple things for you. I spent a good amount of time with City Manager Whitehead on Tuesday the 17th, doing a city tour, meeting with the people and departments that make the city go. Thank you to everyone actively working for the city and what you do for us, especially those in that would be considered undesirable by some. I gained perspective and initiative all in a lengthy afternoon. I still have my departments to visit and people to meet that to finish before my 100 days. I've completed a 500-person poll of voters in the city, and I have results from it to report this afternoon. Thanks to everybody who participated. I gained perspective and initiative from it as well. The poll was simple. I'm listening to residents about what matters most in our community. What issues do you think should be our top priority? I tiered it into 3 different sections, just kind of breaking down. I got about 400 results from it. Water infrastructure was number 1. Constituents report significant frustration with the current state of water delivery systems. They observe frequent leaks and aging pipes that threaten the reliability of their potable water supply. Residents feel the local government focuses too much on long-term planning while neglecting visible daily maintenance. The gap between planning and action creates a sense of urgency among the public. Beyond basic repairs, the community expresses concerns about how existing water resources will support new housing developments. These messages indicate that the public views water security as fundamental responsibility of local governance. Road maintenance and repairs was number 2. It's the number 2 topic. Constituents report the local roads are deteriorating rapidly, creating safety hazards and damaging vehicles. They express frustration with the perceived lack of progress, noting that planning efforts have not yet resulted in visible improvements to side streets or neighborhood infrastructure. Specific concerns include the inequality of unpaved gravel roads in established residential areas and the presence of water leaks and potholes. Number 3 was traffic safety measures. Constituents report dangerous driving conditions across several local streets, specifically highlighting excessive speed and difficult navigation of downtown corridor. Many residents feel that the current road configuration, such as the reduction of lanes downtown, have been made driving more difficult without providing the promised safety benefits. People are also frustrated by neighborhood blight caused by abandoned or wrecked vehicles left on public streets, which they believe degrades the community and complicates traffic flow. These messages indicate a need for the city to reevaluate street design to commit more resources to traffic law enforcement. I have a bunch of comments. I won't read those now, but I can get those out. This is an incomplete poll and a small sample, and is nothing this commission and city manager have not already heard. I would like to say that a lot of these are being actively fixed and progress is being made at a rapid pace. I'm looking forward to running this poll in a couple of years from now to really challenge what we're doing today. I'm also looking forward to running more polls here soon and just targeted focus ideas, what we need to hear from y'all. While I have this galley full, I'd like to address things I've seen online with the statement. Every commissioner has an email and a phone number. We're local elected officials and your voice should be heard by us. Please reach out to us. Emails preferred by myself, but we have all contact info available to you at any time. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our meeting, and I would ask you to refrain from any applause or any comments as we proceed through the meeting, as it does slow us down a little bit, and I would ask you to do so that we don't sway other people's opinions. Thank you. Any staff comments?
Where's Tara? She just walked in covered in junk. I might have stole your thunder. I'm sorry. I didn't see you. So I told everyone what you did today, but you were more than welcome to come and say anything. I'm glad you dressed for the occasion.
I totally dressed up for the occasion. You're welcome. So today was the big day. Jordan's Way came in. We had so much fun. There's pie. I have eggs, lime, everything on me. So far, our total is at $7,600 raised in 3 hours. The fundraiser is still going. Hopefully we get more in. We're super excited, but it was a lot of fun, a great turnout. I appreciate everyone from the community that came, the commissioners, the mayor, OJ Heschler even came in. It was probably the best turnout we've ever had. So it was a complete blast, and I appreciate everyone for showing up. If I'm crying, I'm really not. It's whipped cream that's still stuck in my eyes. But yeah, and I'm sorry if I smell and don't mind the appearance. Thank you so much for everyone that came and everyone that supported the shelter. It meant a lot.
If you guys didn't see it online, it was a live event, and Tara's dedicated. I saw her put peanut butter on her face and a dog lick it off. So
I actually had a peanut up my nose earlier.
that was great. So much fun to be a part of.
It was. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Good job, Darren. To get our community involved and everybody excited. Every year it gets bigger and better. We keep on wondering, what are we going to do different? And it gets more exciting every year. You're doing a wonderful job.
It means a lot to me.
All right. Thank you so much. You guilted me into it. Since we have a full gallery, if you wouldn't mind making sure your phones are off and they're on mute at least.
Sure.
All right, and if we, do you have any additional staff comments?
Just a couple things.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission, members of the community, it's good to see a good turnout here today. I'll keep my report simple as we try to do here. Things just remain really busy for us. I really appreciate the time I got to spend with Commissioner Glines. We'll continue to do that. We have another half a day planned. I think it's important. You know, what I would share with the public as they're here and listening and getting to see Tara, you know, it's a vision and it's a hope that we create that much enthusiasm amongst all the departments of the city, right? It shouldn't just be something that's one department, right? We have to just keep working every day to get that pride factor back and get everybody, you know, to kind of pitch in to make sure that we're putting our best efforts forward. But appreciate the poll and the information, and you know, again, it's not surprising. I hear that, you know, I get the staff will come in and say, well, we get a lot of comments about water leaks, and I say, yeah, because we have a lot of water leaks. It's a fact. So we'll continue to work hard on that. progress goes good. The water project, our first water project is just moving along really fast. I will let you know that today we hosted a very, very good meeting with the school system. We recognize that we've had a couple, the school went through a tough situation where we had a valve that was turned off in the system and they didn't have proper water pressure to keep the restrooms up. So they had some days a couple of years ago where they had to shut the schools down. So we've met with the schools. We're committed to doing everything we can to make sure that that the water system, when we're doing renovations, don't create a day that they have to send kids home. Again, we recognize that's hard on the kids, it's hard on education, and it's hard on the families that have to deal with that particular situation. So our engineering team has mapped out some strategies and we'll remain connected to the schools as we go through this process so that we don't have them spending unnecessary dollars and we make sure that we're working hand in hand to get that accomplished. The last thing I'll report, I might steal your thunder, but the legislative session closed. We did a lot of hard work. We took the commission up. We were able to receive funding. We did receive, it looks like if the governor signs it, we'll have $500,000 to invest in the Lee Bell Johnson Center. So again, the vision there would be that we go in and we reform and restructure the foundation. That's the focus, right? That's what we're doing so that we can get that building reopened. And then we also received $370,000 for the design and construction of Marie Street. So we'll begin that process, which will help us get that dam recertified, potentially get some sidewalks and at least start getting that paving done. So recognize those comments and we were pretty successful there. Other than that, I would stand for any questions from you guys. Other than that, we can get on. We're good to go here.
Since you opened the door.
I opened it.
Okay. So we were successful at the legislative sessions, as Gary just described. I was disappointed in the governor's office. We didn't get any capital money from the governor's office. So that was a letdown. But then things happened and we were notified about a week ago that we received funding from Ben Ray Lujan and Representative Vasquez in the form of $1,092,000 for the Clancy Street project. This is a project we've been chasing down since 2024. It was funded in 25. Then the federal government had some shutdowns and it was delayed, and it's a project that should take place in 26. That's the good part. The bad part is that we went after it in 2024, and I'm sure prices will change. I'm sure we're going to, we have to find some extra money, but we have a start on it. But this will give us the basis to apply for additional revenue, and I think we'll get it fully funded. So this is a good start. The other thing that happened was that we received $1,075,000 from Senator Heinrich under similar circumstances, and that is for water infrastructure. So that'll be added to the $50 or so million we're already juggling up in the air trying to get spent. So those are two pieces of good news. I think that will help our community down the road. So I was going to announce that next time, but since you started it,
Okay.
you might as well finish it, right?
Yep.
So those were two good news items. All right. With that, let's move on to our first presentation. And let me couch it by saying this. This is a presentation only. We chose not to make it an action item, which means we won't be making any decisions today because we want to hear from our constituents on what their feelings are. And then after today, we'll weigh what is said during our public comment, and we'll have further meetings with our, our leaders in our community, whether it's the city of Elephant Butte or the county or Williamsburg, and we'll have further discussions. And then before any decisions are made, we'll make some public announcements, and we'll do it in the light of day, so everybody knows what's going on. Okay, I think that's as fair as we can do. So with that, we're going to have our first presentation, and this is the Joint Powers Authority Structure and Regional Collaboration. We have a guest speaker today, Mr. Patrick Ferris.
Don't all applaud at once.
And you're up, sir.
There we go. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor,
Afternoon.
council people, council persons, sorry, legal clerks and all. Can you hear me okay? It's not a karaoke thing. Okay. So let's go back just to that first page, if you would, please. Great. And we have 10 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for Q&A. I just want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah, and so we'll drive that. If there's more
Okay.
questions than the 10 minutes allowed, we'll carry beyond the 10 minutes. If
Okay.
our commissioners have additional questions, if that's okay.
Terrific.
Yeah.
And just to make sure this presentation was in your binders prior to the meeting, and hopefully you all had a chance to review it.
Yes.
Terrific. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and go to the first slide. Oh, okay. So there are some big things coming our way or to this part of our state during the next 5 years. And I have heard from county commissioners, some city commissioners, as well as the mayors, that we've all heard this before. People have been here before to say great things are going to happen. I'm going to tell you what research shows from the state and from national numbers and from the entities that are named here as best as we could find them and as they are available online that anybody else could find. The first thing is that there are a bunch of new jobs coming this way. Now, depending on what numbers you want to believe or the multiplication factors that you use from direct jobs, as well as jobs that come from new business, there's somewhere between 60,000, 61,000 and change and 112,000 new jobs that are coming to southern New Mexico and western Texas, which is a big feeder market of ours. The Copper Flat Mine, which you can see on the top left photograph, is being built out to what it will look like on the top right photograph. There are 25 high-level executives moving into the county in Q3 of this year, and permitting, there's one permit left to get. That will start, the executives will come here in the third quarter, and then this will start in the first quarter. They're looking at January. And those are, to build that, it will take about 12 to 1,300 people, about 24 months to build. After that is built, there will be 300 to 400 direct jobs that will support that copper mine. The Borderplex project Project Jupiter, I should say, I think most people here have an awareness of that. So we're looking at somewhere between 20,000 and 45,000 jobs being created as a result of that. And we have to remember that in case people don't know about Project Jupiter, it's a $165 billion revenue bond that is driving business to that area. And I'm going to tell you why that's important in a second. And in February, about the 9th or the 8th, it was announced that the Permian Basin oil discovery in the lower east corner of the state, they found 165, or excuse me, where's my number? No, I'm sorry, 16 billion new barrels, I'm sorry, 1.6 billion barrels of oil. That's a whole bunch of oil, in case you didn't know, and it's going to create a lot of jobs. Again, this is all data online that anybody can find. If you wouldn't mind, please clicking the next slide. So there will be tourism expansion. And I'm going to just bring up all the things that have been told to me or mentioned to me during the last few weeks. Virgin Galactic is planning to launch in the first quarter of the year. If you've been outside, you may have seen the mothership. That's that big 3-fuselage, 3-wing plane flying around that's testing. If they have one flight per week, it will generate 41,500 hotel rooms per year. 1 week equals 41,500 hotel room nights, not actual building hotel room, but hotel room nights. Borderplex and Project Jupiter are expected to generate somewhere between 15,000 and 70,000, depending on whose data you look at, leisure trips to Sierra County. That's not all their leisure trips. That's to Sierra County. The next part is the Permian Basin oil discovery. Again, we're looking at somewhere between 50 and 100,000 additional visitor trips to Sierra County. If we look at those numbers, gang, even if you cut them in half, it's many, many multiples of what we do today. So people have said, hey, Virgin Galactic's been here for however many years it is, 15 years, and they made one flight, or two flights actually, and that was it. That was technology issues. It takes a lot of money and a lot of time to go to space. And I know that there's all different viewpoints, and that's great. At least why this room is so full, people are talking, and that's the first step, right? And change creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates fear, and fear creates contempt. And you can see that if you look at some of the social channel postings. There was one that was very positive that said my teeth were too white. So I thought that was great. That person's in the room. Thank you very much. And they are my natural teeth. It is not surgical teeth, just so you know. This is the real deal. I've broken these tooth twice. So, all right, go ahead and go to the next one, please. So here's why we see this as something to do now, whether it is a joint powers authority, whether it is a public-private partnership, whether it is a pass-through entity, or if private sector needs to do it alone. It needs to happen soon for a couple of things. There's a lot of planning and funding and building that needs to happen in order to meet the demand. Again, take the full numbers as it is, put any number against it. If one of those things happen, it blows away the economy. Once the capacity is reached, meaning let's call it 5 years from now or even 4 years from now, if you don't embrace the change, and nobody's telling you how to live. If you want to live in a tent by the river, great. If you want to live in a big old house up on the hill, that's great too. Do your own thing. But the closer we get to that tipping point, the more fragmented things become, more expensive they become, and the more challenging it becomes for the local community. Now remember, the things that I am proposing, as of today, under the Joint Powers Authority, doesn't cost anybody anything. It's on us. We're going to go get the money and do all these things in collaboration with you. I want to make that really clear, but that's in the presentation, so you can see that. If we don't take action now, the existing local revenues will not cover any kind of expansion to go. We already have street problems. We already have sewer problems. We have septic problems. We have wastewater problems. I mean, we all know what they are. Commissioner Glines, sorry about that. My name's spelled weird. So if we don't do it now, we're going to be behind the 8 ball. I think it's pretty clear, and I think city managers recognize that there are challenges and there's not enough money. Although I do want to congratulate you, Mayor, and Gary, and Mr. City Manager, Gary,
That's fine.
on your big money raise. You didn't announce it, but it's big time. So congratulations to you. Way to get out there and hammer it. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? Thank you. So the idea is to shape the outcomes before they happen, rather than absorbing the impacts. Because if you absorb the impacts, well, let's put it this way. Currently, you won't be able to absorb the impacts, period. If we have an opportunity to come together as an organization, whether it's, well, if we come together as an organization, no matter how it is structured, you have a bigger chance of getting federal and state dollars because you're coming together with a municipal, well, let's count the county as municipality, as a municipality and private sector voice, going to elected officials, federal and state programs to say, darn it, look at us. We're here. This is real. This is a humongous opportunity to make this a year-round economy where there are a lot of good jobs, a lot of high-paying jobs. When I first started doing this, I walked around town, downtown, Johnny B's, Walmart, and asked people who I was doing with, whether it was the guy changing my oil or the person cashing me out. I said, if you could change anything about this community, what would you change? Every single answer said, I'd like there to be more jobs and I'd like to make more money. Nobody said anything about, as a matter of fact, people did say, everybody here's really nice. Everybody helps you. Everybody gets along, which is awesome. That's a great foundation. But jobs is a big thing. They're coming and we can decide, we people can decide whether or not they want them. That's fine. If we don't have a plan in place, we're going to miss long-term opportunities and risk higher costs. Period. Next slide, please. So the concept of the alliance is, again, to come together as one strong voice, one entity, seek the money that we should be able to get, or let's say deserve, as opposed to getting small grants of $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. We should be pursuing millions. And we can, I believe, we can do that working at the pace of business. Government has processes in place for a reason, and they're good, but they do take a long time. And if we can get them together, if we can get together, the Alliance wants to push this forward again with either your approval of initiatives, input of initiatives, and collaboration. Okay, please go to the next slide. So the Alliance is a non-profit organization. Really clear. We're not coming to you in current structure to say, hey guys, go find $1 million and give it to us. That's not the plan. There is, the Alliance will provide a coordinated way to manage growth. And again, working with you and as the city mothers and fathers, for lack of a better description, as the city leaders, your constituents can talk to you and tell you what they like and don't like and what they want and don't want. That's your responsibility. And then together, since we're a team, you tell us what everybody's telling, right? Or saying, pardon me. And again, the concept is we have to build a year-round economy. Somebody said in a post on a social channel that this is a year-round economy. We have to look at what year-round economy means. It means we have a steady flow of income and outgo and growth. That means when there's no water in the lake, what do you do? Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff to do around here. And I think that people perhaps, well, let me just erase that thought because I'm thinking about what I'm saying and how it will be interpreted behind me and on social channels. And I do have real teeth, you guys. So I think it's important that we look at the whole of residents, businesses, and visitors alike. Does that make sense? Okay, let's please go to the next page. I think I already explained what we do. The idea is to coordinate and expedite and have the staff on our team, the Alliance's team, to get work done. There was something mentioned in one of the municipality meetings that I was in where I said, I was asked, Pat, whose fault is it that we don't get the grants that we need? And I believe my answer was, and you guys correct me, I believe my answer was because you don't have the staffing. You can go to a city manager and say, hey, Gary, how are you doing on your grants? How are you doing on appropriations? And Gary can stand up proud today and say, hey, man, we got $70 million. That's way to go. But it's not a matter of just completing a grant form and hitting submit. You literally do have to call your state legislators, call your senators, and we know who they are, right? You literally have to do what Rolf and Gary just did, and I'm sorry if I don't know who else was with you, but to go up to Santa Fe and pound on the floor and respectfully pound on doors and say, pay attention to us. Tourism alone in this state, in the last state report, was an $81 billion economic impact. We, Sierra County, contributed 2.013% of that. But the amount of dollars that we collectively got from the state, if the research is right and what's online is correct, it was less than $200,000. So that's not our fair share, gang, not even close, because we haven't asked for it. Why? Because there's not enough staff to do it. The next thing is we have to align public priorities with private sector expertise to guide growth and decision-making. That doesn't mean we have to lobby you. We are partners. We have to lobby the state and federal programs. Okay, please go to the next slide. I think I've already explained why we need it now in the previous slide, so let's go ahead and skip that. And let's talk about how these things get structured. So the first part is a joint powers authority, and I'm going to give a real layperson description for the people in the audience who don't understand a joint powers authority. A joint powers authority is when two or more government organizations come together, make a formal agreement to work together towards a specific cause. There is some hesitation amongst the two government organizations I've already spoken with about doing a joint powers authority because of recent occurrences on joint powers authorities. So I'm going to show you how that works for everybody's edification, but I do understand that is causing some hesitation amongst government organizations. If you would please scroll down, am I pretty graphic? Whoops, that didn't work quite right. Can you spin it? There you go, perfect. So the state and the federal government contribute funds to what's called the Joint Powers Authority. Remember, that's multiple municipalities coming together for one cause. If you scroll down a little bit on that, so the money's in the Joint Powers Authority, spin it again. Hang on, I can just go like this. So the money comes into the Joint Powers Authority. The Joint Powers Authority then will retain an amount of money to administer those funds and to be the fiduciarily responsible party, which means the Joint Powers Authority is responsible to make sure that the money is spent in the way it's supposed to be spent and spent in the time frame in which it's supposed to be spent. Those funds are usually, anywhere from that I've seen in the state of New Mexico from 5 to about 9%. So if you needed a full-time person to manage this, which you shouldn't, depending on how successful we are together, you can easily pay for it and maybe keep a little bit more for a rainy day. The money then goes into an escrow. So let's say there's $1 million and let's say it's 10%. So there's $900,000 left over. That $900,000 goes into an escrow account. And then that money is distributed by escrow to the alliance to implement the programs. And remember, you all have spoken with your constituents. You all have decided what's important, and we together are implementing it. You don't have the bandwidth, so again, we'll implement it on your behalf. We insure it. We get a completion bond to make sure the work is done, much like construction would do. And the programs are done with a focus on infrastructure, economic development, and tourism. I would imagine after talking with the superintendent of schools, the chairman and the CEO of the hospital, that those may become priorities of yours, and they may be things we want to explore, and there may be other things as well. So again, we're doing it together. Please go to the next slide. So structure 2 works this way. It's very close to being the same thing. The difference is this: there is no joint powers authority. The money is secure, or there is a board of directors, an alliance board of directors, and the cities or municipalities would each have a seat on that board. The board then decides what the most important things are, and then those get acted upon. And so what happens is, let's say, for instance, there is, I'm going to use a big number. Let's say there's a $10 million grant that we were, or appropriation that we were able to get together. And let's say Truth or Consequences needed $7 million. The county didn't need any, and Elephant Butte needed 3. We didn't get 10. We wanted to get 10. We asked for 10. We lobbied for 10, but we got 5. So now the question is, how does that money get divided? You divide it on a pro rata basis. So if you wanted 10, but we only got half, now you get 5. If somebody else wanted 7, then it'd be 3.5. Does that make sense? And the money that comes from state, or some money can go directly into an alliance, into a 501c6, which is a type of nonprofit. Some of the money can go from a state directly into a 501c6, who can then implement those programs. And again, remember, we're all on the same board. Everybody's making the same decisions to push the economy forward. And then we run the money through each of the municipalities based on their pro rata amount. And then so it becomes the exact same thing as a JPA. There's just that bit of difference that there's now a board of directors as opposed to the entity being a vendor. Does that make sense? Okay, please go to the next page. This is the exact thing. For those of you in the audience who haven't had an opportunity to see this in advance, you can see it's basically the exact same thing. There's just one piece that has been taken out of the puzzle, which is the Joint Powers Authority. Okay, go ahead and go to the next page. This is just a bunch of happy people working together. So I have explained this already. Please go to the next page. Priorities and timing. This is an important thing to look at. So let's just kind of, this is the last slide, just so you know, except for the one that says, thank you. Please go to the next page. Okay. Whoop, past that one, it's the same thing. There you go. So SGA, standing for Sierra Gateway Alliance, is the lead. This is where you're on the board, and the alliance is not a contractor to you. We work together on the board, and I'm going to say this respectfully, understanding the political process. The process moves at the pace of business. Pace of business means we don't have to wait a month for a proposal to come in, for it to be voted on, to hold 2 public meetings, to do all of those things. You just move forward. And again, we're doing it together. It's not big business saying, you got to do it this way. We're going to change your life. That's not the plan. If you follow it through, we believe we'll have funding by December. We know we have funding from the private sector already to get started. So the alliance, the 501c6, should be signed on Tuesday of next week. So that's already being put together because it needs to. If you say go, we want to go 100 miles an hour. It doesn't bind you to anything. It binds the private sector to that. If we go with the Joint Powers Authority, you're adding 6 months to the model. Why are you adding 6 months to the model? And I just said it. A proposal has to come to you. You have to look at it together. You have to decide what you want to do. You have to come back and say, we like this, but with these changes, we look at it together and go, wow, here's why those changes work great. Let's do it. Or here's why those changes might not be the best. Would you consider this? And that has to go back and forth a few times. So it just moves much, much faster, and it allows us to prepare for this growth for whatever numbers you use. So we can prepare for the growth because it is coming and there's nothing we can do to stop it. We can't put up a gate on exit 83 and 78 and go, yeah, you can't come here. Does that make sense? All right, here comes the good part. Thank you. Okay. Please feel free to ask questions.
Okay, thank you. You know, we're gonna have some questions. And we'll start with our commission.
Oh, and I want to get one thing out of you. Sorry.
Anybody want to start?
Have a speech prepared for it.
You do, really? Awesome. Good for you.
I appreciate the effort to address the Sierra County's anticipated growth, but I must express serious concerns with the proposal for the Gateway Alliance as presented. The materials both on the screen and in the agenda packet are incomplete and fall short of what is required for a matter of this magnitude involving public-private partnerships. Most noticeably, it lacks any references, cited sources, or studies to support its claims, particularly the population and economic projections on the early slides. Without verifiable data, these figures raise legitimate questions about credibility. For context, the January 28th wayfinding presentation on road signs was detailed, sourced, and thorough. I feel like the whole presentation is unfinished as a whole, especially for joint consideration by Sierra County's board governing bodies. You said it's a nonprofit, but it's a 501c6 structure, which is an entity designed to promote common business interests with specific industry, not to deliver broad public services. The SGA aimed at directing services to funds of the public at large seems misaligned with the IRS guidelines for 501c6 organizations. Research shows that municipal partnerships can help 501c6 access public funding eligibility, bridging private interest in government resources. However, on the slide 15, page 18 says the SGA board includes one representative from each participating municipality, but explicitly prevents those municipal governments from holding majority. Combined with visuals depicting funds flowing to the SGA in Alliance position above government entities, the structure suggests that control over public dollars could rest primarily with the non-elected. That's a major concern for me. Pre-real land appointees rather than local elected officials being the control over public dollars. I mean, to even be said, I'm uncomfortable with a private entity akin to like a chamber of commerce overseeing public funding reserved for municipalities. 501c6s enjoy tax exempt status. They can be considered nonprofit, but they have rights to lobby, engage in political activities, including supporting or opposing candidates. They can run advertising campaigns, they can form PACs, political action committees. With elected officials or potential future candidates serving on the NCA board and potentially influencing public fund allocation, it creates apparent opportunities for conflicts or loopholes, especially in a politically charged environment where alignment with powerful stakeholders, including access to the governor's office, could influence decisions. Why should pre-real and Tier C join a joint powers agreement with a pre-real initiated 501c6 that cedes sole grant execution authority to other municipalities and then to the SGA, where we hold no majority voice? What benefits would we gain that outweigh these concessions? Would any connection to higher offices through SGA or pre-real truly serve our constituents first? I'm not opposed to the SGA's creation in principle. I recognize we need every resource possible for growth. Growth is coming. But the current format for local government interaction, funding oversight, and control doesn't inspire confidence. That's why everybody's here right now. If Tier C declines to participate while the three other entities join, we risk being placed in a direct competition with the unified bloc against us. Its full scope, I think it needs reworking, more detailed sourcing, clear governance safeguards, ensuring public accountability and majority municipal influence where public funds are involved, prioritization of local constituents over private interests, including pre-rolls investments and related entities, transparent analysis of risk and benefits for each community. Convince us and the public watching that the advantages far outweighs the costs. Provide a painfully thorough, fully documented version that addresses these concerns head on before any vote's expected, at least from my seat. We need help. We welcome thoughtful partnerships, and the price of participation must demonstrate benefit every resident to the consequences of Sierra County comes first, not at their expense. Thank you for your time to hear these concerns. I look forward to a stronger presentation.
Terrific. That's great. Let me try to address, I think you had 9 questions in there. I'm going to try to address one of them one by one.
I can send this to you also.
Oh, please do. That'd be great. So you need to understand, or I would like to ask you to please understand, how this process came together, because many of you may not know. Mayor Heschler, myself, Mayor Holcomb, and Chairman Paxson sat down together and I said, hey guys, why aren't you working together? Why have you not met? Why do you not have one strong voice? Why have you not embraced the private sector? And please understand, this is not a free, real initiative. There are 5. I'm telling you guys. Okay. There are 5 private entities who've agreed to this already. Tell you. Sandy. They are Turner. They are Spaceport Virgin. They are Real. That's 3. Got it? There is the Marina. And who am I forgetting? Is that 5, you guys?
No, that was cool.
Thank you very much. That was very nice of you. Thank you. So I want to make that part clear. The next part is, you said that this presentation falls short of a formal presentation. Of course it does. Of course it does. The first meeting was with the mayors and the chairman. The next meeting was with actually the first meetings were with private sector to agree. Then it was with senior elected officials. Then it was with city managers. Then it was with Leader Gail Armstrong, Senator Brantley, and State Representative Dow. Got together with them and they said the same thing the mayors did, which was, yes, I'm not gonna use the word consensus. I got in trouble for using that last time. We had an agreement in concept, and I asked the mayors, can I go around and ask other people and see that we have spoken? Right, Rolf?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I met with a few council members who I knew or had been introduced to. I haven't met the 3 of you. Amanda, we didn't meet, but we know, we didn't meet together, but I know you. And so I went, hey gang, here's the big picture. What do you think? And they went, wow. There was one elected official who literally said, we don't think this big. We don't have the experience to implement these kinds of programs. Okay, great. Well, guess what? We do. And we're asking for help. We're not asking for money. This is not a handout. So with this presentation, it is, Commissioner, it is in concept. We have had no feedback from any commissioner whatsoever to say, hey guys, great idea. Let's go have a cup of coffee and talk about some of the kinds of things we'd like to see. This is the first presentation. You all, as a next step, need to get together internally and say, okay, might be a good idea. Like you said, you're not against it. I want more information. Give me that information, Pat. Great, we can do that. Your next step is to talk to the other cities or the other city and the county and say, hey, what do you guys think? We partner up on this thing? You want to just totally blow it off? It's whatever you want to do. We do not have to do it together. It doesn't have to happen. It doesn't need to come together, but we wanted to at least come to you and say, hey guys, the business is coming. Should we prepare for it? It's not a build it and they will come. It's a they will come. Are we prepared? Your other question was a 501c6. I believe it was inferring the difference between a 6 and a 3. They are 2 different structures of nonprofits. One can be retained to implement a product, much like a Chamber of Commerce. One cannot. The one structure can have everybody on the same board. One structure cannot. If you do the JPA must be completely arm's length from the alliance by law. You can't be on our board. We can't be on your board. legally. There's another question you asked. I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to get to the top of it so that your constituents can hear quick answers to the quick questions that came off of Chat GPT or whatever it was, which was great because you have to write the ask questions. You guys, it's a brilliant thing to use. It's a fantastic tool and you should use it. This is actually like that presentation was great, by Jack. Yeah. Well, you certainly do the other one and say, hey, this is written by AI as well. You guys, there are technologies that are available to us today to maximize the use of our time, human resources, our financial resources, and we should use them. They're there. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
Please be respectful, everybody. Come on now.
sorry, Jazz. I'm not too far off though, right? But it's okay. There was another question too. I'm so sorry.
Which point did you want me to go?
I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them. But how about we do this? Go ahead and email it to me and I'll respond to them. That'll be great.
Thank you. Commissioners, anybody else?
The only thing I was really concerned about, and Chav brought it up too, was our voters elected us to be the voice and the stewards of their money. And if we then in turn put another layer on top of us between that money, we don't have we are not speaking for them. So my main concern is, as long as we do everything transparently and in the open, and they have a say in what money we get and goes to what project. That's my concern. We're all sitting up here because of all of that.
Sure.
And so we have their trust and we want to make sure that we have their vote if we move forward with anything in the future, which is why we ask for public input and for a chance to weigh the facts and make a decision.
That's fantastic. And you and I talked about this during our lunch meeting. We talked about it on our phone calls. And that's part of the reason why there are two structures. The joint power gives you 100% control. Period. The other structure, whatever you want to call it, gives you board approval, but no one entity is going to have total control. Period. You can't do that. It won't work. That's like saying we're trying to build a destination, so this city should get 10 votes and this city should get 1 vote and this county should have 1 vote. That's not how you come together and build a destination for a year-round economy, which is what you are going to use. I mean, going to need, not use, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Got a couple of questions.
Sure.
I'll just be honest with you, Patrick. This scares the hell out of me.
Okay.
Okay. We like our small town atmosphere. We like being comfortable. And it scares us. And if it's coming, whether it's coming or not, I don't know if we have any control over it. We hope that we do to some degree. So here's my concern. And I am the one that said that if we agree on something, we're better together than we are apart. But we need to agree with our sister municipalities. We need to agree with the county, and we need to be on the same page. So the next thing that has to happen is I meet with my counterparts, the same people that are running them, and see what consensus that we can build. And there's no offense. I'm a little scared about having outsiders coming in, and I call you outsider. I've been here for 40 years, and I'm an outsider sometimes. Okay, and so it's a little scary. I don't like. We like to be in charge of where we're going ourselves. We like to be able to figure those things out. I'm not saying we can't do some things together. We probably can, but we are stronger together, like I said, and we have to figure out what those things are. We have a tremendous infrastructure need.
Yes, you do.
Yes, and if this is a means to help us, improve our sewer plant, fix our water lines, build a rec center, those are important things for us. I'm sure every other community has the same concerns, whether it's the sewer plant at Elephant Butte and the expansion, whether it's the development of another transfer station for refuse. We know that our particular sanitation station is undersized, and I don't know if it's going to handle it. We're going to have to expand in the next 2 years. What does that look like? How are we going to get that done? So there are some things that we can, I'm not going to use the word alliance, but I'm going to use the word that we can partner with our other community friends and figure those things out that will make and improve the lives of everybody in our county. Those are the things that we can focus on. I'm a little leery about getting painted into a corner and being contractually obligated to an alliance and doing some of those things. Here's one statement that scares me. It's in your presentation. County and municipal governments may independently pursue grants, provided such grants do not conflict with or duplicate programs planned or implemented by the Sierra County Gateway Alliance. We've had luck. We've
Done
done
a
having
great
money.
job.
We've done a good job getting our money. I don't want to jeopardize that through the formation of an alliance. I've been to Santa Fe 3 times in the last 3 weeks. Our commissioners have been twice. Our city manager's been twice. We rattle those doors. We talk to our folks. They're supportive of us. If we figure out a way to get that done in a better way, and we figure out specifically what those things look like, we'll bring that to our people, and we'll see what happens. And so I'm not dissing the alliance, but I want to make sure, darn sure, we have a good way to get this thing done, and that we don't get hurt by it or we don't get painted to a corner.
I
And
think
that's my 2
that's
cents.
very fair, Rolf. And that's why we're here today, is to say, here's 2 ideas.
Yeah.
If not this, then what? If not now, then when? And if not us together, then who? I mean, these are important questions to ask yourselves. And we need to look at things like our population is decreasing. Our average age is getting older. And we need to think, business leaders and political leaders and community leaders, need to say, hey, what do we want to do? Do we want to give our kids hope? Do we want to create jobs? Do we want to create prospects for future? Or do we just want to be the way we are? And that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what everybody chooses to do, leave it alone, walk away, and we're friends and we'll have coffee. So that's it.
Well, you certainly got all of us thinking.
Well, and talking.
Yeah.
Remember on our first meeting, I said,
Yeah.
guys, we just got to start talking. Nobody's talking together. Now people are thinking. And when you see engagement at the levels of that have been on social channels, I mean, and let's just say it's 30 comments. And the only one I think that was complimentary of the concept was the one about my beautiful teeth, which is okay. It made my wife happy. And I think that's okay. Everybody has needs and desires. Everybody has fears and uncertainty, and it needs to be voiced to figure out what the heck you want to do, if anything at all.
Well, thank you for that. And like I said, you got us thinking. And
Great. Terrific.
no, and I'm a little bit put back in that we didn't have an informal alliance with our sister communities.
Well,
You know, and if this does anything, it gets us talking with them, because when we share our resources with our sister communities, we're all stronger for that. And you know, we all have similar situations that we need to work through. And so you've got that dialogue started.
thank you. It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the first breakfast.
Right.
So thank you all very much. Thank
We
you
also
all. I
have
can't
a
wait
few-
to,
Yeah, we have.
yes, sorry, man.
So stuff going on here. I think they bring up valid points. And I think if we ever move forward with something similar to this, it would be nice to get all of the entities that you just talked to, county, Virgin, all of us to just sit down and see what that looks like for us in an alliance. And yes, we should be working together in that sense. I don't know if this is that answer or not. And then my other question is, are we paving the way, or is this being implemented some other place? And what does that look like?
So to answer your first question or comment, Yes. We definitely need to all get together. But right now, the ball's in your court to say, hey, Pat, what you showed us doesn't work. We need more information. Great. We need to talk to each other and figure out what the heck we want to do. Is it a public-private partnership? Is it a corporation or an LLC? Or is it a JPA or a JPC or whatever you want to call it? There's so many structures. We're just the first guy to throw it on the table to say, hey, what do you think of this? Right? So I think that's a really positive first step. The next question is this going to move ahead without you? There are people with hundreds of millions of dollars invested in this community that have to market themselves. Does it mean we're not going to do it without you? I mean, with you or without you? We're going to market our properties. I mean, we didn't come here to give it away, right? So we're going to be building the economy no matter how you look at it. And hopefully that's a good enough answer because we haven't gone further than this to say, let's do it this way.
Okay, any further comments?
My motto is together we can make a difference. There's just here one point of it, and I'm for building community. And yes, the different villages, towns, we have to come together, talk to each other, have here open plans that we are moving together forward. And that I think is a good idea to form an alliance between the cities and all the commissions, the boards, the structure, how it is in place. Because we are all representing the voters, our citizens.
Yes, sir.
That is. So I am answering to my people who are sitting here. I say, put me in this place to represent that. And I would like to move forward. I see the growth. I see that here in the future, there is a future that we have to prepare for expansion, that we have, but I want to do it in a good way, in a positive way. And the difference here with between your organizations and us is we are elected. You are answering to shareholders who want to maximize profits and want to see money. And they don't care who's hurting, who is here left behind. They don't care. They want, you have an idea as a visionary. There is a county we can invest in. It has a potential to blow up and make you money. That is what I feel the main purpose and driving force for some investors. Yes, there's millionaires out there who do a lot of good. Don't get me wrong that I'm saying putting everybody in the same hat. But at the end is I'm here to protect our way of life. And yes, we are ready to move also forward, but we want to do it in a healthy way. That here people who build it, including families who grew up here, who invested in the town for many, many years. And I did not even hear one name of those families mentioned in the joint effort. And for me is I have respect. They are one of the pillars of this community next to all small business owners and everybody who lives here, who puts their energy in, non-profits, volunteers, everybody. And I want to make sure that nobody who put their sweat and tears in this community already is left behind at the end, that they are forced or their families are forced to move away because they can't afford to live here anymore or have a business here anymore for the greater good of maximizing profits. And I understand, and I'm happy And I'm also glad to see that outside investment is coming. But always have in mind that the people who grew up here, the farmers and ranchers, they were here first. Just remember that in the future when you move forward with your projects, think of them and include everybody who is in this community and who cares about this community going forward.
That was a brilliantly stated point of view. And thank you very much for that. I think it's really important. I heard you say, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to move forward with something like this, not exactly what I'm showing you here. And we want to make sure that it supports your constituents. You're the only one who knows your constituents on a personal level. And you can speak with them and say, hey guys, what do you want? Like, let's see if we can work this into.
Here,
Well, yeah.
what they want.
Yeah.
And
And
you will hear.
and you're gonna hear in a minute. And I think, you know, the next part of that is, because it was mentioned that I am the executive vice president of Pre-Real Investments, and that is a fact. And I am the creator of the Alliance, my idea, my attorneys, the whole thing. It's important for everyone to realize there are no shareholders in Pre-Real Investments. Everything that has been purchased here has been purchased with the cash of James Pendamano and David Berman. All the money that we spent with great things like 4-H, the holiday event, which we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, updating the club. I could go on and on and on. That's out-of-pocket money. There's no shareholders. People who do have shareholders, even Peter's Marina at the lake, out of his pocket. Virgin is a public company, right? Spaceport is a state-owned entity. Copper Mine is a public company. So yeah, they'll make a lot of money. But the important thing here to recognize is we're not leaving you alone. Let's explain what that means. There will be many, many jobs created. Those jobs will be higher paying than the average household here, considerably higher. There will be programs put together that have already been put together that will benefit the hospital, emergency services. There's a lot to consider. And when you look at the amount of money that these projects will generate at the state and county level, and you're talking about a lot of money from gross revenue tax, lodger's tax, pure money being passed around the community because there's more money to go around. Let's not forget that that benefits the constituents and it benefits the city and the county. So let's not make it one-sided because that's just not a fair argument. Agreed? Okay. All right. Thank you though, very much. I really appreciate your vision, like you understand it. And that's a big deal.
Mr. Ferris.
Yes, sir.
Actually, it's something that I'm curious about.
Yes.
Um,
Hello, Jay.
so, yes,
Patrick.
okay, you are the executive vice president of Real, and that's a separate entity than Sierra, from the Alliance.
Yes, it is, sir.
Because I guess what I was curious about, going through all the documents here, you see all the stuff about the Alliance. I don't see where the Real is even mentioned in these documents. I'm trying to figure out what the.
Oh, there are other documents that you haven't seen that the mayors have received that mentions everybody who's in every entity. If you'd like that, please feel free to send me an email. I'll send them to you.
I guess I was trying to figure out the relationship between the entities, really.
Sure. If you look at municipalities, county, and the two cities, and you look at the private sector as 5 individual companies running their own P&Ls, they've gotten together and said, hey guys, we should work together. And we've come over here to say, hey guys, you want to work together? And then you come together and you go, wow, look how much bigger. We're this big here, but together we're this. There's the synergy. And when you elevate that, it takes you to a whole new level of opportunity of vision, prospects of children and hope and all of those things you'd see in a movie, right? So hopefully that answers your question. I know it's not a legal question, which is fine, but it's a vision question.
I know, I was curious, that's, so is there a contractual relationship between the entities, maybe is what I'm trying to drive at here?
There is a board of directors right now, or actually being signed, like I said, early next week, because we've been trying to put this together, right? There will be an agreement between us on the private sector side.
And us meaning Port Real, say us.
Meaning the 5 entities that I mentioned earlier.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right? So everybody will be together as an entity, just like you all would be together as whatever entity you decide to create. And then you come together and boom, you're stronger.
So I have a question on that.
Sure.
What would be, let's move forward with something like this. Let's have a alliance together where we all come to the table. Let's change the agreements, not being money related. Let's sit down and let's go over these things. Yeah, let's go for a grant that would benefit all of us at once. But the stipulations that says we are not allowed as the city to go after certain things, I feel like that is where things get a little crazy. The county needs to do their thing, but yes, let's sit together. Let's have this alliance together and come to the table.
I think that's fine.
I think the stipulation parts of money and grants and things like that and how they are distributed and who gets to run that maybe needs to be off that table. Let's just come to the table and have this alliance.
I totally agree. I think it's a great idea. And the reason that I put that in was that historically, the amount of money, I'm going to just take tourism first, okay? The amount of money that's been pursued for tourism is scraps off a table. And if we're pursuing an appropriation that is, I don't know, hypothetically again, $1 million, and we're having great conversations over here, and all of a sudden somebody comes in from the, I don't know, tourism board or whatever it's called, I don't really know. They come in and say, hey, we want 100 grand. And the state and Fed goes, we're already talking with your guys for $1 million. That creates confusion in the marketplace. And that's why I put that in there. But I'm fine throwing it out. Just scratch it off the thing. Again, you guys, this is just the start. It's the first presentation. We're putting it out there to say, help us understand what you need. Let's work together to get this done.
Yeah, and I think we're all sitting here and we all want growth and we all want to be able to work together with our community members. And when I say community members, because in this community, our county, our city of Elephant Butte, Williamsburg, we are all one, we're all community members. And so, yeah, I think we all want to work together. I think it's the things inside of that make it, everybody in this room is very concerned about how that is written. And I think that's where we need to start. I think let's all work together. Let's have an alliance. Let's sit down at a table. Let's figure out what we need. Now, the stipulations of money, I think, is where it gets a little eerie.
We let the attorneys work that stuff out. How does it flow? You know?
They're really in trouble.
Well, I think we've all got really good attorneys and we can figure something out. That's it. Thanks, all. Thank you, commissioners, Gary, and other appointed folks.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right, so we're not going to get much of a schedule going on here. It's going to be a long meeting. We know that. So I'm halfway considering moving on to public comment right now, mainly because we have a lot of folks here, and I know somebody have other places to be. So let's make some rules for public comment, and this might expedite things.
What do we need to do to?
You'll have to probably make a motion. When you're good, we'll let Mayor finish.
Yeah, let me finish what I was saying, then we'll make that move.
Yeah.
So if we go to public comment now, I would ask that we avoid redundancy. That if someone says something that, and if we agree with them, I'm not even opposed to having a poll and having you raise your hands. But we don't want to come up and say the same thing over and over and over again, because that's going to waste everybody's time, right? But if there's something new that needs to be said, or something different, or if you have an opinion that's aside from this, we'll probably do that at the end if we have public comment other than what we have for this particular group. we'll do it that way. Does that sound fair?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
can I
ma'am.
say something? Can we also allow if, they want to, they can also submit any comments for the minutes, so we can have it just in case you guys don't get a chance to say what you want. I will put it in the minutes.
Yeah,
Is that cool?
Definitely. I've already got several comments here from folks that we'll put in the minutes, so it will be represented. I think that's important. But we'll start kind of going through the list. If I call your name and it's already been said and you don't want to speak, that's fine. And if we go through the list and I haven't called your name, but you want to speak, that's fine too. We want to give everybody the opportunity. And if we're here for breakfast, we'll be here for breakfast. That's okay. I'm just kidding. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move, item D, item D, public comment prior to item D, public hearings for expediency.
I have a
Second
motion.
motion.
I have a motion second to start.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Hackler.
Aye.
Honorable Dustin Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Todd.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Okay, remember, as you come up, the 3-minute rule applies. If you can be more concise than that, that would be appreciated. And we'll move forward, okay? Thank you. The first one is Tony. And if I can't read the last name, I'm not going to try.
But he will state his name.
Yes, and you will state your name and your address, please.
It's Tony Kakias.
There you go.
That
Thank you,
is a
sir.
weird name. And I live in Third Street, like the whole address? 510 East Third Street.
Perfect.
And, well, you guys actually covered a lot of what I did want to say. So that's great. So to avoid the redundancy. One of the big things is too, since they are the 501c6 able to lobby with political things, they can replace all of you guys with people that more align with what their goals are. And you guys have already shown right now that you are very much engaged and interested in representing the community and what they have to, what they care about. And while I appreciate that and do not want to lose that, I very much do not support this entire thing. And then, who have been in the room and then just kind of casually insulted a couple of minutes ago during this whole speech. It was wild, and it's really not going to do anything to get me on the side of this whole presentation. Well, I don't know. Like I said, you guys covered most of what I wanted to say, so thank you very much. That's kind of all that I got.
Thank you for your comment. Allison?
What's my name? Hello, everybody. My name is Allison Raschetti. My husband and I have lived in the same home in TRC for 19 years. My first reaction to this project was no. Then I said, let me come with an open mind. My mind has not been changed. I was employed in entry-level jobs in real estate in Chicago and San Diego for 6 years. As a broker assistant in Chicago, my Chicago boss raised the cost of condos after people already signed the contracts. In San Diego, developer purchased my apartment complex and raised my one-bedroom rent in 2001 from $595 to $850, so they could put them into make them condos. I met my husband in a lovely mobile home park outside of San Diego. In 2006, a developer bought that land. We didn't seek a lawyer, and we ended up losing what we had invested. They kicked out seniors and disabled people. Pre-Real's website says what they do is they invest people's money. And they say, quote, to date, we have not lost a single dollar of investment. Quote, our due diligence shows that we return double digits returns on our investment. Pre-Real is presenting this to us, so we have the upper hand. If this is considered, we must hire a consulting firm that has professionals who know how to read what is in their contract and what is not, and counter them and get clarification. Their website does mention that, due diligence. I did not hear anything in the presentation specific to our humble community. I think we need an activity center with an indoor pool and a heating and cooling center or buses for our homeless population and city residents that I have seen suffer immensely when their homes cannot be heated or cooled. I heard Las Cruces is one of the best run city budgets. Consulting with them may be a lot cheaper. I took 2 things off the website. Please tell me if this is correct. One of them says our flagship investment opportunity is Turtleback Mountain Real Golf and Resort, a multi-round MPC project with incredible growth potential in Sierra County, New Mexico. I honestly don't know what MPC is. I don't want to guess. What does it mean?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I think that would probably mean multiple portfolio Anybody know? Okay, so these are investment terms that are obviously above most of our heads. The second page I noticed here, to counter what you mentioned about you only being the investor, you have a specific amount of investors. Here you're offering invest in the development and sale of 86 single-family homes, improving 1,000 lots, and finishing key amenities to attract the largest developers in the US. This 48-month investment aims for a 20% IR, 20.3% IRR, which is, we are seeking 41.9 million in this equity-only investment opportunity open for the first time. I think they may be concerned.
Thank you, ma'am. As we have further comment, we don't have a dialogue here. You're here to present and we don't want to go back and forth, okay? So let's come up and present and we'll leave it at that. Move on to Alice Hutchins, please. You stepped up. The one I got right. Okay. Rick Dumiak.
In his defense, it's kind of hard to read that sometimes.
Greetings all, Mayor, Commissioner, everybody here. Rick Dumiak, 705 Charles. I thought about this long and hard. I saw the thing on Facebook, looked at everything. I tried to come here with an open mind. I really did. Unfortunately, I have a lot of experience in real estate with developers, with real estate speculators, et cetera, et cetera. Not my favorite people, I'll be honest with you. They're out for profit. We all are, I get it, but not at the expense of our community. When they mentioned the 5 principles of that partnership, the alliance, I certainly don't want the mine to be here. I'm sorry, that's a personal opinion, and I'll state it. I'm not in favor of the mine, flat out. Water is a commodity. Whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting. Where are we going to get the water for these things? The data center down in Santa Teresa, the average data center uses 10,000 home water uses in one day. We don't even have it in the city here. I'm all against this. I want to see you guys work together. I love the idea of communities working together. I've said that a long time. Let's go that route. We don't need somebody else help us. Thank you.
Gina Kelly.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, and all the ships at sea. I'm Gina Kelly. I live at 740 West 4th. I run the Visitor Center and I'm on the Main Street Board and I'm on the Tourism Board. So I can answer questions about tourism. One of the comments that has been made was that we're only getting $250,000 in tourism funding from the state. One of the biggest reasons for that is because we don't have the money to match the grants. So we can't get $1 million unless we have $500,000 to match that. And that's under the current New Mexico Tourism Department Co-op Marketing Program. There's that. I want to say the economic impact of tourism in this town is already significant. Last year, I looked at the lodger's tax. I don't come without actual numbers. I don't make it up. We had, in Truth or Consequences, $9.795 million in lodging revenue. I don't think people realize. It was pretty evenly split between the downtown Hot Springs hotels and the Date Street hotels, which is further interesting. Since lodger's tax is 5% of room revenue, I can't make this up. We know what our lodger's tax revenue is. You times that, that's where I come up with 9.75 million. The other thing I wanted to do was, some of the comments that have been made at previous presentations have been quite disparaging of Truth or Consequences. I've lived here for 20 years. I love this town. Sure, I always want to see things happen. I want to see new businesses come in. But I'm speaking from the visitor center perspective now. I'm taking off the lodger's tax hat. And our visitors right now is when we're really busy. And we're full of people from the northern Midwest that are fleeing from snow country. Can you blame them? You know what they all say? I love this town. I love the hot springs. I love the art. I love the bright colors. I love the small town vibe. Please don't sell out and turn it into strip malls. And this is what we're hearing every day. So I think if we're going to talk about development, we really need to keep an eye on keeping what's unique about our community. People really love the people here. I got to tell you, I hear nothing but wonderful things about everybody in our community. And I just want to congratulate all of us for being so friendly and open to our visitors, because it really makes a difference. Some of them have been coming back here for, 10 years or more. Some of them are buying second homes here. I've talked to a number of those people. So I just want to thank you for everything you do in supporting us, and thank you for your presentation, Patrick. It was interesting. And thanks to the community for the great job you do. That's it.
Thank you, Jean. Susanna?
Suzanne Carl.
Suzanne, there we go.
Sure.
You know everything.
I'm Suzanne Carlstead. I live here in TRC. I wanted to put my skepticism about this alliance in a little different framework. It would be a new unproven nonprofit. And I even question the legal or even constitutional framework of the notion of locally elected officials turning some of their financial power over to a nonprofit that's not accountable to voters and taxpayers. Some questions about the alliance. How much is the annual membership fee for local governments? What's the projected budget and staffing for the alliance? Will grant experts be unpaid volunteers? I doubt it. How about the head of the alliance? Where does the money come from to pay employees of the alliance? Especially if administrative fees have already been turned over to local government entities. What sources of income are projected for the alliance besides membership fees and grants? In my time here, I haven't seen a lot of examples of different government entities, nonprofits, businesses, and so forth working together effectively. If you can pull that off, you must have some secret sauce. I know that Pre-Real has been quite critical of downtown TRC. Well, as far as I'm concerned, their downtown is that mall up on North Date Street. And while I appreciate the improvements that they've made, I'd like to ask, how has that worked out for the community? Talk about the pace of business. I'd like to know the degree of economic growth Pre-Real has added to the area. I do believe they've had some effect on housing costs, but I'm afraid it's priced some people out of the market. And how does that grow the community? They say they want to protect the character of Sierra County. I'd kind of like to hear what their idea of that is to see if it aligns with the local populations. I think we've only begun to address infrastructure, and it's the foundation. You can't build on a shaky foundation. And so I wonder how infrastructure and economic development would be balanced in the alliance structure. I am for bringing in business expertise. I do have some question about the business sense of building a hotel when you already own a hotel that pretty much sits vacant nearby. Again, talk about the pace of business. And I am glad to hear that more businesses are interested, though. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, Chad Davis.
Okay.
You signed up for something different, but I think part of it may be related to this. So Steve Zeski.
Steve Zeski, 1019 Parway, property owner since 2012, permanent resident 2018. Apologize, I left my brewery t-shirt and my Ducket TRC t-shirts are in the laundry, so I think you guys are gonna need some lawyers. Go over that proposal very, 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 very carefully. From Chicago, big business, does a great job lobbying for its interest and its profits. Quick point. 5 votes, 3 for the Tri-City, 1 for the county, 1 for all of the corporations. Let them get together and get a viewpoint. Don't let them be in charge of whatever this is gonna be. I didn't even come down here to talk about this. I actually came down here to give you guys kind of an attaboy. by some weird accident, I voted for 4 out of 5 people here, so, you know, I would like to see things, you know, end well or go well. So I'm just giving you an attaboy. And maybe it was Gary and Tracy. I like the lumps thing. You know, we need, it's gonna provide jobs, gonna provide gross receipts tax for people passing through. We love money from people that don't live here. Could say it. You know, truckers gonna be overnighting up there and stuff, and you know, not everybody's gonna eat in their truck and you know, go to Arby's, you know. I'm thinking, you know, Johnny B's might close a little early, but I'm thinking, you know, you might get some business too, like McDonald's, La Cocina, Del Taco, plenty of parking for big rigs before they go up there. So, you know, and I don't know if Mr. Ashbaugh, you know, 5 out of 9 gas stations in Sierra County was against this, and if he was, good on you all for blowing them off. You know, hey, GRT, you know, you guys are always talking about GRT, so I'm betting in a year or two, that's gonna be in the top 10. You got, you know, Holiday Inn, a couple other hotels, you know, Bar 2, you know, Bullock's, Walmart, brewery, I don't know. You know, if there's gonna be jobs, I think it's a good thing. Just, you know, be very careful, and if you can't say anything smart, don't say anything off. Don't be like Swingle 5 years ago, and it's like, maybe we should sell the electric company for $8 million because we have $20 million in deferred maintenance. Why would you say that in a public meeting? Now I'm offering you $1 billion for it because you told me all the stuff that's wrong with it. Sorry. Thank you.
Valerie O'Reilly. Good? Thank you, ma'am. Steve Green. I knew we could do it. Dark, let's talk it on more.
Steve Green, 25 years, resident of TRC, commissioner for 12 years, mayor pro tem. First came CEDO, $390,000 of our citizens' money was our contribution alone, not one job, not one business. Then we had Middle Rio Grande Economic Development Association, same. Now we have Sierra Strong, too soon to tell. Now Sierra Gateway Alliance, looking for a home. The numbers presented over are a Santa Claus fantasy wish list. For example, Permian Basin, 50,000 to 100,000 people are gonna travel 1,000 miles back and forth to come to Sierra County. Whoever did the numbers, please don't insult our intelligence. Let us not give away the keys to our city. Yes, there is strength in numbers, but not always. We are a tourist destination. The county relies on farming, ranching, and mining. Elephant Butte is a tourist destination. We have our own needs and priorities that can't wait in line until it's our turn to receive funding. What we need is not another organization, but a qualified relationship between our fellow sisters and the county, a qualified grant writer who can take some of the pressure off of Tracy and Gary, and who can help in implementing our financial needs for our infrastructure projects, as well as an active mayor, commissioner, and city manager, which we have, working with our local state representatives, cabinet secretaries, and elected Congress, House of Representatives, and senators, regardless of which side of the aisle they sit on. Visiting them at local state offices, and if need be, Washington. If they see a need, let the contractors build. Let us continue to build our own house. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Pat Swan.
Hi, Pat Swan, live at 629 Charles. I agree with a lot of what's been said. My comment would be, I didn't see any T or C businesses represented in that list of mostly millionaire companies. And if we're gonna be a part of this, we should have some business representation. We have hoteliers and restaurateurs, brewery, Marianne and John, who have been here a long time and deeply care about the city, and they should be a part of that too. That's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sid Stewart. Sid Bryant. How are you? Right. Thank you, sir. All right, that exhausts the list. However, I promise that anybody else that would like to speak, Rick, come on up one at a time.
Hi, Carly Mars, 510 East Third. I have only been living here full-time for 3 years, so I know that's not enough time for me to have something to say. But my students had quite a bit to say about this proposal, so I promised that I would come and speak on their behalf. Students noted many issues with the numbers in the proposal, including the idea that these are firm numbers. Virgin Galactic's numbers from their report last year on the Spaceport report said that they would expect up to 750 people to be able to fly on their spaceships once they are operational. My students found it suspicious that 750 people max flying on a 4-minute flight that costs $600,000 would lead to 41,500 hotel rooms. Another student wanted to look into the issues with the mine, why it has closed and reopened, and found that the copper mine issue was largely that the cost to extract the copper exceeded the income per pound of copper. Then the business fell under largely because of loans they had taken out. While the cost of copper has gone up, the student notes that interest rates on loans have also gone up. And that is a concern worth noting. And lots of students express concerns about water. A lot of students express concerns about the level at the lake, which we all know has been going down. Even I know that. I've only been here a minute. And they also wanted me to note that in some of the images in the presentation, we should note there are not saguaro in Sierra Club. So thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Frank Tanan, Mars years. So first, I just want to say thank you so much to the city leadership and the management team. You've been doing a fantastic job bringing in money and fixing our infrastructure recently. And I've seen a lot more happening in the last few years than I have in the last 19. I feel like I'm in a very similar state as last year when there was a group either of Pre-Real or aligned with Pre-Real that wanted to take over the Healing Waters Trail for development. I'm going to say the same thing I said then as I'm going to say right now, is that this is something that I think that we need to do our own surveys. I think this team here between leadership and management has the ability to decide we need the help. These are the things that we need to do. And I think that if the businesses want to work together to make their investments, they can get together and they can start to do investments. To the person that spoke before, I would love to see something come into that shopping center that's been sitting empty for a long time. Let's see some proof of action of building the town and the downtown. One last thing I want to say in terms of our infrastructure, especially when we're speaking about tourism, which comes up quite often, is we've had multiple restaurants close in the downtown in the last couple of years. All of those are now other businesses. They had working kitchens. We don't have restaurants there. We have an empty Denny's. We have an empty Pacific Grill. Those are places that I think we could look for investment to try to enhance and grow and build a place that people want to come work. Those create jobs. It helps bring tourism money, and it helps people of this community feel like that these businesses that are out there are actually doing something for us, as opposed to just presenting more and more ideas for big infrastructure projects on their own.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, good afternoon, good evening, good night. My name is June Russett. I live at 511 Gray Street, and thank you all for extending the public comment. It's really highly appreciated. I'm here speaking for the trees and the rest of the environmental kind of ecosystem. The Permian Basin, Virgin Spaceport, Project Jupiter, the Copper Mine, all extremely environmentally extractive. And they all extract our resources. Our water especially is of utmost importance to us if we want to continue living here. And I don't see anywhere mentioned in this presentation any hopes to increase the environmental impacts that we could be having here in our town. I implore us to communicate among entities and among us citizens, gather and talk to each other. And hopefully those communications will bring forth an informal alliance without contractual obligation. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anyone else? Come on down.
Hello, I'm Sunday. I live at 909 North Oak Street. And I don't know, maybe I'm being repetitive. But I too really noted the lack of concern for the things that I feel living here since 2019 that I have noted that is important to our community. I'm sorry, I get really nervous public speaking. I can't speak anymore. Okay. Thank you. So let me just list things that I feel like everybody thinks are really important and you did not pay any attention to them. Okay. Walkable downtown art spaces, community gathering spaces, spaces for music and theater events, trees and shade, good local food, as he said. The beauty of the natural surroundings is a huge reason why people come here and live here and stay here. Access to the river. Anyone ever think about that? Hot springs should be cared for in a way that, with longevity in mind, is what I want to say. Walking and bicycling trails for safely accessing the beautiful, incredible nature that we are situated in. We have the Night Skies Act here in New Mexico, and I do feel like it's a little bit ignored at a couple ends of town and by some people. And I would like you to keep that in mind. I don't know what you're gonna be doing here, but dude, it's lights,
All those
down.
things we're not doing, but we're not.
Pollution, all those things that he talked about, as June and some other people said, are just extractive and polluting. And that's not what's important to us here in this town. It's not the reason we come here. It's not the reason we stay here. The jobs provided will be minimal. And also, who wants to work at a job that puts you at odds with your community? Love you,
Good job. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Sorry, promise you're next, ma'am. Behind you.
My name is Stacy Hay. I live at 595 South Oak Street, Piercy. My concern, and it's not so much the Alliance, I think having people talk and get together and do the right things for the community, for the whole community, is super important. What I'm worried about is the copper mine. When I lived in Sonora, California, there was a gold mine that they put in, and it did run for 20 years, and they went bankrupt. So they didn't have to clean up. And that's a real big issue. And it made it so we, the taxpayers, had to pay for it to be cleaned up. And it couldn't be used for other things. We wanted to actually use that space for a little league place because it was ended up being capped. And that couldn't be done because it still wasn't environmentally safe. So I just really want to make sure people understand what happens, especially with an outside entity from Australia running the mine. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My name's Katie Renault. I live on
Morgan Street
You
at
can pull that
915. Short, I live at 915 Morgan Street in Truth or Consequences. And I also live in the United States. And I believe that when I hear someone say that they would like to circumvent the checks and balances of our democracy, I get very nervous. And I also hear someone basically saying that they then do not respect the opinions or value the opinions or the livelihood of anyone in the room at this time. Which is a great segue to my next point. That is, if you would like to be in charge of the funds allocated to be spent on our communities that come out of the pockets of our people, then you should run for county treasurer.
Okay, do we have any other folks? Yes, ma'am.
So many people have said so many wonderful things. My name is Christine Otten. I live at 112 Riverside. I have a business at 403 Broadway across the street from the brewery. Big yellow building that I'm sure everyone's annoyed by. So first of all, I'd like to thank the commissioners for your thoughtful comments. I'm very proud that all of you are our representatives because what you said really spoke to a lot of my concerns. I want to thank you for the presentation. I do wish it were more thorough. And that you had come to this commission meeting with a little bit more substantial notes. I think we also can say that, yes. My husband and I visited here for nearly 30 years before we came. When we decided we wanted to settle down and start a business, this was on a short list of 3 places. We came here to visit, we're closed on a house 2 weeks later. That's the power of this community and what it is and what it has and all the people who make up the businesses, the private sector, that you have only 5 companies representing. So you talked about fear of change, and we see that, yes, sometimes there is a little fear of change that gets in the way of moving a community forward. I looked at your presentation, the PDF, I heard your presentation, and I hear a lot of language in it that actually is trying to stoke some fear. What will happen? What will happen if we're not prepared for that change that's coming? And I know I'm giving you notes on your next presentation. I think we all are. But basically, what we fear is that the communities and the companies that you say represent the private sector do not necessarily represent the community, as you call them, constituents, at this point. What we hear you say, no matter what the presentation says, what we hear is the growth will come. How can we, these 5 companies, restructure local government so that they can pay for the infrastructures we need to make the most money from this growth? That's what we're hearing. And when you talk about tourism, yes, who's going to tour? A detention center. Who's going to tour a copper line? Who's going to tour through the spaceport that doesn't have $600,000? Our tourist economy is very much more diverse than that. And that's not what brings people here. So if you're going to talk tourism, do a little research into what actual tourism is. Talk to Gina. I'm sure she knows. So that's her only comments. Thank you. Done.
Okay, do we have anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Simone Swinton. I live at 810 Sierra Vista Drive. I have lived here for a month and a half. However, my parents have lived here for the last 14 years. I have come here twice a year, averaging about a 3-month stay. I was afraid to say something today, but I feel that I must. So that growth is happening. We can't stop that. But what concerns me is that this wonderful community has been told the same version of events in the past with Virgin Galactic. I remember how excited I was when this community was sold a bill of goods that it's going to spark tourism. We're going to have all of these hotels. What happened was this community paid the taxes and Branson went around. Okay? Everything was spoken in generalities. What I would like to see is representation if this nonprofit goes forward, where we have actual people from our community. I hope I can say that I'm part of this community. Should have a voice. I feel that the voice is lacking. This is gonna happen regardless. It is. AI is here. I like AI. I don't like the mining of the copper that's so close for the data center. Everyone's talking about the water. We're not talking about the air, downwinds. There are little children who will most likely get asthma, bronchial diseases. We have our senior community here that are going to get very, very sick, and no one's talking about this. So I'm sorry that I'm emotional, but I've seen this community time and time again. Pardon it, they trust, and then they get screwed in the end. And I don't want to see that happen. Everyone should have a voice. We don't have anyone representing us. Where, no. Yes, they are representing us, but you need more than that. I'm sorry, you need faith leaders. You need business leaders, not necessarily Ted Turner. Ted Turner, I've been here 14 years, twice, 3 times a year. I've never had anything to do with Ted Turner. Okay, real people, real community members. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good job.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
My name's Robin Wynn, and I'm live at 500 East Riverside. And this is the first meeting I've ever come and spoken to. And I was kind of hoping there weren't comments today, but I have to say something. What was I going to say? Because everybody covered so many things that I was concerned about. Okay, my first feeling when I read about this week was I am all for Pre-Real and all their little friends, corporate friends, getting together to create a little table of interested parties who want to invest in all of these communities, and they can apply for grants, and they can come to you and say, hey, we'd like to apply for this grant. Do you guys like this idea? I guess it would shorten the grant to money in our pocket a little bit if they had to go through you, but I'm all for any group of people or entities getting together and saying, what can I do to improve this community? And if they want a splash pad as much as I do, I'm going to join them, and things like that. So they don't need to have a hand in our pocket or our decision-making powers. And also, I love everything all of y'all said. Thank you so much. I think that what has come from this is that the city, the county, and city of Williamsburg should definitely sit down and explore that. And I'd be very happy to look into maybe other communities that have those kind of quasi partnerships with each other, not with corporate interests. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. On top.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Konstantin Todolescu. I live at 660 Post Street. I grew up in Honolulu, and they talk about the big 5 development companies in Honolulu. So when I hear this proposal, that sort of echoes in my head. And I'm not sure they've done a lot of good for the island, but I don't live there anymore. So my one thing I wanted to say was, if Ted Turner and the Walton family can't pay a living wage, why should we expect these people to? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, anyone else?
Well, all my friends left.
Hi, I'm Gigi Callahan. I live at 1048 East Riverside Drive, Trailer 4. Please don't come over without calling. I just want to say that I'm very proud of the people I spent my vote on. I like that you're willing to hear us. I like that you brought this to the table for the people to have comment for. And I think you've heard plenty of comment. I'm not a big fan. I've worked corporate jobs for a long time. I've worked on 16 to $30 million call centers. And I've seen what they've done to communities. They brought in jobs, but they took something for that. So I think that y'all are able to work with each other, your sister cities, because you sure worked with me and many initiatives that I've done, and I've seen what you've done with this community. These people came here to stand up for you. They put their vote into you. So we're hoping that you're thinking about us too.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I think we've exhausted.
Gonna need a break.
So let me just say this. Thank you to all so much for caring about your community. It speaks volumes that we have people that show up for things like this. It's important. We need to hear what you have to say, and we have, and it's important. We won't make any decisions or final decisions without involving you. I think that's a promise we have to make. And if we are deciding to do something, then we need to be transparent with it and get it out in the open, and we need to have dialogue. So this is an important initiative. We're at the edge of something that could be good or something that could be disaster. We have to be really careful here. And so we'll try to do the best we can. Thank you for putting your faith in us, and thank you for being here today. So we're going to take a 10-minute break and reconvene at 6:10. Thank you.